Hi, intrepid viewers. Here we are, right at the beginning of 2025, and no matter where you live or what your political persuasion, it's going to be epic. Right? So just know you have a safe space here. So I've been thinking about this channel, and I'd like to know what you think. I'm thinking of starting a second channel where I just do political commentary without cards, because I'm sure there's a lot of people who are put off by the fact I'm a tarot reader or whatever. However, I'm very happy with this arrangement, so I'm ambivalent. So let me know what you think. Would you appreciate a second channel, or should I not bother? Because that would be infinitely easier. Now, in the good news column, New Year's Eve, we raised on Jen Lynn's channel $10,000 for the World Kitchen. Oh, so fantastic. So we did all the time zones. Well, I did half of them. And Jen, Lynn, and Johnny held the torch and went through. So it's becoming an annual event, but I'm very pleased we had that result. So thank you guys for being so generous. That's great. Now, kicking off today, what have we got? Oh, the Yeti's newly appointed Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles, losing control already. She sent out a memo. No administrative staff or cabinet picks are to engage on social media before running it by White House counsel. I'm sorry, how's that going to work, Susie? What stratosphere does she live in? Now, obviously, this isn't just her idea, this is her way of trying to manage it, but it's obviously a result of the fact that two-thirds of the world seems to be turning on Elon Musk, right? And so this is their authoritarian instinct. No social media without it being verified. Who is White House counsel? Well, you can imagine the caliber of those particular law lions, can't you? That'd be Alina Habba and her second best friend. I mean, what? It was Trump who conducted his entire fetid pregnancy. Why do I say that instead of presidency? Ooh, no, his entire presidency was via tweet. And Javier Milei, the mad guy in Argentina, he did his entire campaign on TikTok, etc. So how can it work? The world has now moved. You can't put that genie back in the bottle. So what I want to know is, will it have any effect? Like, will they comply or not? How can public figures stay off social media now? Let's see. So Susie Wiles, she's like the head nun, isn't she? Oh, please. What's going to happen with this directive? No one is to speak. If only. But anyway, here we go. All right, this is a strange sort of set of cards to me because the very first card was victory. And I thought, really? Um, but I think what this is talking about is she understands, if nothing else, that these late night manic, pharmaceutically enhanced tweets from the co-president elect are actually a disaster, a public relations disaster. So she's thinking very directly, well, we'll stop everyone else wading in and we'll try and do harm minimization. No, you can't, because you can't rein in the big boys, right? So because she can't control them, she's trying to control everyone else, is what I'm trying to say. The Republicans in the House are very confused, not surprisingly, really. I think they'll lay low for a minute, going, how do we get around this? Are they going to enforce it? What's going to happen? This is conversations in the bathroom at Congress going, really? Oh. And then they'll start speaking up again. Now, that means, if you ask me, in my humble Australian opinion, means she's already lost control. And that's a problem. That's a real problem, because this is what happens when you go for the big guns or a big directive like that. No one can do. And they go, well, really? Then you've lost it. She is no Mitch McConnell. All right. Meanwhile, Janet Yellen's on the phone to anyone who'll pick up, saying the debt ceiling is going to be reached in 3 weeks. Excuse me, can I have someone's attention? The debt ceiling. So what's going to happen? Oops. With the debt ceiling. Actually, first we should do the speakership, because I thought Mike Johnson was probably gone. And the hideous options included Jim, the Uber jock, Jordan. I mean, you think one's bad and then you get the other. But they're pretty desperate now because, well, it means they can't actually get in. I mean, it's hilarious. If it wasn't so serious, it'd be hilarious. So what's going to happen with the speakership vote? Will some of the rhinos hold out or not? They've got a razor-thin majority. And of course, you've now got the revelation that the GOP had been hiding their particular member who's been in a facility, obviously with dementia, for 6 months, hasn't voted for months and months and months. And they thought no one had noticed. Right? So what's going to happen with the speaker's vote? Then we'll come back to the debt ceiling. Ah! Well, you'll love this. The very first card is the death card. Major, major, major change. Now, I think it's penetrated even their own hyper-resistant brains that this is not a good thing. In other words, to not be able to vote on a speaker. So there's going to be all sorts of conversations about, is there a legal way to do this? Can we hold on to him during the changeover process, etc., without taking a vote or something like that? They're trying to look for a legal loophole. They're scanning the horizon for options. But what can you do? You've got Marjorie Taylor Greene and that guy Massey or whatever his name is from some red state who are promising to hold out. So my feel here is they'll find some legal wriggle room to stall it. So we'll see what happens from there. Their very first port of call for business has to be the debt ceiling. And we know the pattern, which is, the conservatives always say those Democrats spend like drunken sailors and we're the party of fiscal responsibility, which has never been true for an hour, let alone 40 years. So let's see what's going to happen with the debt ceiling. Oh, let's see, debt ceiling. Let's see. More people arriving. Okay. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Look at that. Look at that. So the last of the rhinos, I think, are feeling the damage. I think this new generation, which includes, you know, Lauren Boebert and the others in the Valley of the Hyenas, don't care. So I think this represents symbolically the never Trumpers, the Lincoln Project type Republicans, etc., etc. No way round it. Look at this. Look at this. Oh, and then we have the card of loss and regret. Quelle surprise. And then they'll have to be pulled out of the fire and they will have to raise the debt ceiling. I'm just wondering at any point, are these people going to do any governing? Because they're just going to lurch from crisis to crisis. Now, the question on everybody's lips, not, where is JD Vance? He's disappeared into the ether. I mean, maybe he's been swept up into the witness protection program. I don't know. It's very weird to actually have a newly sort of elected vice president and to not see this person, particularly when you have an aging president-elect. Very odd. So is he being kept out by the muskrat and others, or has he pulled away himself? And what is going on with JD Vance? What is going on with JD Vance? Here's a weird statistic. I actually couldn't believe it, had to read it twice. His approval rating, which was in the toilet because people saw him and heard him, 26%, it's gone up to 30 something while he hasn't been there. What is that? What is that? Anyway, where is this guy? All right. He's making a big decision. I don't think it's guaranteed. I don't think it's guaranteed that he will take up the role, or let's put it this way, stay in the role. We all know he's ambitious and thought, you know what, I'll be second in charge to the 78-year-old. But I think it's different now. And the reason I think he's rethinking, it's not political per se. He hasn't seen the light and doesn't want to be part of a truly vile administration or anything like that. I think there have been some threats from MAGA because he has an Indian wife. Okay. When I designed these cards, One World, with Sienna Rose and stuff, it's interesting this image should turn up. Okay. Um, and he just wants to have the quiet life where he's just wealthy, things just, come in. Maybe he'll do it for a while and then go off vaguely into industry or something like that. I don't see him going all the way. But that's on the energy of the cards today. So let's see what happens down the track. Now, before I go any further, oh my God. Elon the muskrat putting out a pathetic little tweet, like after the 12-year-old birthday party and your kid's been bullied or something, is having been an absolute apologist for the worst of the worst, being a foghorn for everything that's vile, disruptive, and bad. This simpering little tweet, can we only have beautiful things and more information on Twitter X? Well, no, hun, because you killed Twitter. And this is where they're similar, these two guys, right? Only Trump could send two casinos broke. Only Elon could kill Twitter, which was one of the best monitored, genuine global points of exchange. Killed it with his stupid little frog avatar. What does he call himself? What's the name is unbelievable. Kikius Maximus, which is, I think, code for the peppy sort of icon, the code for the racist rallying point. So he's just been exposed as the paranoid 14-year-old incel that he really is. And I don't care how many times he's been married and don't care how many kids he has managed to acquire. I'm very suspicious about some of these pregnancies. Um, so let's have a look what is happening with him, particularly in the wake of these two dreadful stories involving Tesla trucks. You know, it's, mm. And there's an irony here because he didn't actually conceive or even build Tesla. Two other guys did, which is why they're suing him. And then he took the cheap version of putting it out. And now not only are they looking at a recall of 700,000 vehicles, um, I don't know about in the US, but in Australia, Tesla drivers are putting stickers on their car going, I bought this before I knew Elon was crazy. Love that. I always give them a toot. Um, Sales are down. And the trucks, apparently, one woman was saying it costs $850 a month or something massive to insure a Tesla truck. Not cheap vehicles, you know. Anyway, where was I going with that? What's happening with it? Oh, yeah, in the aftermath of these two terrible attacks, it's looking bad for Tesla. But I'm not going to actually read on it. I'm sure we'll be forced to come back to him. I want to talk for a minute about Texas. Now, in the big picture, I can see Texas going purple, but not yet. So you had a situation where the Texas governor sent his condolences to Rosalind Carter. She's passed away over a year or so ago. I mean, that's how disrespectful, these people are. Shocking. Then you have the Kay Granger scandal that I talked about before, where she's been missing. But these extreme anti-abortion laws, which, as I said 2 years ago, as I said 1 year ago, as I said 6 months ago, it's never only anti-abortion. It's also always about Planned Parenthood. And now maternal mortality rates are going up, like markedly up in Texas. In a first world country, women shouldn't be dying giving birth to babies because they haven't got adequate health care. America is actually a third world backwater in terms of health care if you are not part. It shouldn't be a privilege to be able to afford health care, and nor should it be the responsibility of employers to supply it. That's insane. Now, speaking of employers, Australia has just introduced a new national law about wage theft. Now, this is big. This is big. And they're talking jail time and they're talking fines of like $1.5 million for systematic wage theft. And so, as we know, it's the usual big companies and franchises employing workers and then coming up with mythical reasons why they can deduct this and deduct that and call it something else. Who reads the fine print of contracts? So workers who are at risk of robberies and so forth at 2 in the morning in these, we have 7-Eleven and different ones. I don't know if they're the same or similar franchises. And they've been systematically ripped off. And so we've just introduced a law on wage theft. Now, to finish today, I want to look at the rest of January because literally every day contains, some more highfalutin drama. It's like, when you think of the Yeti and the muskrat and you think they're behaving like crackheads, it's just insane. So what are we looking at for the rest of January? Just get the vibe because as we know, anything is possible. Some more fraud has been unveiled, I think in Wisconsin, but the numbers are very small. And it's also strange, the numbers in Nevada were like around 200. The numbers here are 200. It's like they've stumbled on it, but they're not prepared to look any further because you know what might happen? You might find some more. Here we go. Here we go. Rest of January going forward. Now, oh, good. A bit of truth will cycle. There's boom. All right. Now, right in the middle, whooshka, the Ace of Swords, cutting through the BS card, right? Imagine some truth coming out. Wouldn't that be shocking? We'd all have to sit down and take some Tylenol or something. Look, boom. But I've got a caveat coming up here. Okay, so underneath this is my card for social media. Massive social media. I think now that the base is wobbly, now we have this surreal circus going on with the Steve Bannons and the Laura Loomers. The ironies of this are staggering, but this is going to gather pace and wake more people up. I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? I think money will be an issue. This will probably be the debt ceiling stuff. But on top of the truth card is Biden. So Biden over the truth. Why I'm not leaping out of my chair with excitement is because people are so entrenched in their echo chambers, and MAGA has been, cult is the right word, for so long. It's never easy for people to leave cults. But I think people will be moving. I think this is something he's going to reveal as he goes out. The problem is who is receiving that information. People will want to be moving away, not so much from the truth, but what it represents to them. It's hard for people to admit being scammed. It's hard for people to admit they've made really stupid decisions. But I think this is the beginning of a process, right? It's the beginning of a process. All right, guys. So please take care and stay strong. And we're open to any options that may come forward. So just be ready. This is not just America. This is a global scenario going on here, right? Massive. Everyone is dealing with racist, conservative, misogynistic governments that are being dumped on them, and they're notoriously bad at actual policy. So we can't sort of ride every wave with this. Think of it as surfing. Now, you know, if you're body surfing and you just cruise a wave to the beach, if you stand there and you're scared of the wave and you get knocked down, then you get dumped, as we say in Australia, and that's where, and you get barreled in and crash. So ride the wave of hypocrisy, madness, delirium. Ride the wave. Take care. See you soon.